There is a mechanism in modern football that is no longer designed to win games, but to break spirits. We call it the high line. Its architect is Hansi Flick, and its victim is the 18-year-old prodigy, Pau Cubarsí. Stop looking at the passes, stop looking at the La Masia DNA. Look at the system designed to fail every weekend, leaving a teenager stranded on an island of green grass with 50 meters of space behind him and the fastest strikers in the world sprinting toward him. This isn't brave. This isn't development. This is a recurring nightmare where the system is the villain. This is Pitchside Tales. This season has been defined by a single, terrifying visual. The Barcelona back four standing on the halfway line, while the opponent's forwards stare down the back line, daring them to make a mistake.
Back, look man!
We understand the theory. The high line is designed to compress the pitch, suffocate the opponent, and force turnovers near the box.
Surely it's a goal!
But let's be honest about what we are actually seeing. The narrative has shifted. It doesn't seem to matter if we have a high-caliber defender or not. The type of goals Barcelona are conceding are stacking up with alarming consistency. We have moved past the point of growing pains and entered the territory of structural failure. We need to talk about the structural and psychological impact this system is having on La Masia's inexperienced center backs. We are going to look at why this setup is systemically unsustainable, the tactical void left by Íñigo Martínez, and why Hansi Flick's refusal to adapt is putting the future he is supposed to be building at risk. You see, the high line worked initially because it was a surprise. It was an offside trap so aggressive it felt impossible catching teams off guard. 7, 8, 9 times a game.
Oh, what a chance.
What an opportunity.
It relied on shock value. But here's the twist. Opponents aren't stupid, they have adapted. And because Hansi Flick has refused to evolve the counter strategy, the trap has become the hunted.
Look how high they are, look how high they are!
In numerous games this season, we've seen a clear shift in how teams attack Flick's side. Instead of trying to run off the shoulder of the last defender, strikers are now positioning themselves 10, 15 meters deeper. They start their runs from their own half, gathering momentum before they even reach Cubarsí.
Here for a third goal maybe.
Look at the loss to PSG. Look at the 4-1 defeat to Sevilla. The opponent isn't playing the offside game anymore. They are playing the momentum game.
There's no line there, forget it being high.
The fundamental rule of a high line is pressure on the ball carrier. If there is no pressure, the line must drop. But under Flick's current instruction, the line holds its ground. Even when the midfield press has been bypassed, that is not bravery, that is a structural time bomb. When a striker is running at 34 kilometers per hour and a defender is forced to turn and sprint from a standing start, physics wins. It doesn't matter if you are Maldini or a teenager from La Masia, the mechanism is broken. This structural failure forces the center backs to make perfectly timed tackles, game in, game out. It demands perfection in a chaotic environment. It requires the defender to be lucky every single time, while the attacker only needs to be lucky once. And that brings us to the invisible cost of this system. What we are trying to achieve requires a level of focus that is frankly superhuman. Imagine your job is to defuse a bomb. Now imagine you have to do it 20 times in 90 minutes while sprinting backwards with 50,000 people, screaming, knowing that your manager has removed your safety gear. The consecutive mistakes leading up to our defenders facing the final threat are overwhelming them.
And your team were an absolute shambles.
When the press fails up front, which it does, the center back is the one left exposed. But instead of adjusting the line to protect the player, the system leaves them vulnerable.
The problem wasn't the officiating, the problem was Barcelona were a complete and utter shambles.
This forces young players like Cubarsí into a state of constant emergency.
Barcelona will be much better going forward. What we can't guarantee is whether they clean up this defensive mess.
Every action is a crisis intervention. This not only makes the body tired, it is mentally draining. This is decision fatigue in its purest form. Psychologically, this is harmful for a developing player. A young defender needs rhythm. They need to learn positioning within a structure that supports them, not one that exposes them. Instead, this high line turns every match into a coin flip. If Cubarsí wins the tackle, he's doing his job. If he misses by a fraction of a second, it's a red card or a goal.
You have those spaces and you're not pressing the ball as well. Your defenders cannot step as high as they are.
Case closed. Not quite. Because the system isn't just failing tactically, it has stripped away the necessary leadership to make it function. Now, picture last season, Cubarsí actually did better when he was paired with Íñigo Martínez. From his very first touch, something felt different. There was a voice in his ear, there was a veteran who knew when to step up, and crucially, when to drop off. Since Íñigo's departure to Al Nassr, that safety net is gone. Íñigo Martínez wasn't just a body. He was the organizer of the line. He managed the depth. He would instruct the line to drop 5 yards when the press was beaten. He was the general to Cubarsí's soldier. Without that experienced leader, Cubarsí hasn't lived up to the constant expected performances we got used to. Not to say he isn't brilliant, but he is now expected to carry the defensive load, organize the line, and execute the technical buildup. That is too much for an 18-year-old. It is a failure of squad planning and management to put a teenager in charge of the most sophisticated offside trap in Europe without a veteran guide. Stats on a page can feel abstract. Moments prove it. Watch the communication breakdowns in the 3-3 draw against Club Brugge. 2 center backs stepping up at the wrong time, leaving the channel wide open. That is the sound of inexperience being amplified by a rigid system. This leads us to the uncomfortable question. I don't recall many teams employing this type of tactic in football with such reckless abandon over a long season without adjusting for their personnel. Is Hansi Flick aware that he doesn't have the center backs that he truly wants? Is he trying to rely on this high defensive line as a workaround? Yes and no. Flick knows his personnel, but he is choosing principles over pragmatism. He knows that if he asks this specific group of defenders to defend deep, they might lack the physical dominance to win aerial duels in the box, so he chooses the challenge he prefers. He pushes the line high to keep the ball far away from the goal, hoping to minimize the number of times his defenders have to defend, even if it maximizes the difficulty of those moments. But look at what truly matters for a modern center-back: confidence. By using this approach, Flick is exposing his young talents to a trial by fire that might be wearing them down before they even reach their prime. It is systemically unsustainable to ask teenagers to defend 50 meters of space against elite speed without adjustment. He is betting that the attack will outscore the defensive errors. But as we've seen in the big games, against Atletico, against PSG, that bet is failing. Flick's refusal to drop the line, even 5 meters when the press isn't working,
But he's already been steadfast and said, I don't care.
is beginning to look less like a philosophy and more like stubbornness. The high line is a high-risk, high-reward strategy. But right now, for Pau Cubarsí and the La Masia graduates, the reward is tactical, but the risk is personal. They are the ones bearing the consequences of a system that demands perfection in an imperfect reality. Unless Flick adjusts, unless he accepts that a system must serve the players, not the other way around, we are going to see this pattern repeat. Great talent left exposed in 40 meters of empty space, facing elite attackers, challenged by a tactical ideal. Is this high line simply too demanding for young defenders, or is Flick failing to protect his assets with his refusal to adapt? What is Cubarsí's single greatest strength, and is this system hiding it?